I'm joined by Chelmsford City Chairman Steve Shore once again for another update. And since Steve last spoke to Clarets TV, the National League South season seems to have finally been ended once and for all, with the mini league or proposition not finding any feet. And Steve, what was your opinions about the proposition of that league?
I think the desire to continue playing was a good thing to want to do. I think fans will be able to get back in at some point, would have been able to before the end of the season. I think providing content for live streaming and enabling people to do that was a good thing to support. So we did support. And in fact, the National League wanted to support something to go forward. So I was spending several hours, so it felt like every day, on calls with other people representing other clubs, and we were supporting going forward. It kind of got to that stage where they said, "All right, what we're going to do now is propose this, which is starts with a points per your points. What is it? Points per
game. Yeah.
Points per game. I knew it was G. I was getting goals and games. Points per game system, but nobody has less than 20. So nobody's less than 2 wins off, getting into the potential playoffs. And we looked at that and said, and it was interesting chatting to Robbie. Robbie said, it just doesn't make sense to me. He said, how can you take points you've earned in a division playing against different teams into a combined? It just doesn't feel right. And so generally as the board, we just kind of chatted about it and just said, look, unless it starts from scratch, we're not that interested. And it was always a little bit 50-50 for us about whether we, financially, I think it would have been marginally worse to keep playing. But then at the same time, we got the players and we want to play. We want to develop the squad. It's been a development year. It was starting to come together. I think we'd obviously been through that bad run. And so I think for the club overall, it would have been good to continue, but it ended up with not enough teams, only 4, I'm not sure how many there were in the end, whether it was 14 to 16 who were committed to going forward. I was surprised. I actually thought that the league would come back with, well, we're happy for you to go ahead, but we're not happy with the points per game start. They just came back and said no. So that was it. It's been good. As I say, people has brought a lot of clubs together. I met some interesting people from the other clubs. A lot of them think similarly to we do, but we're also sharing the challenges. So it was good experience to meet up with those people. And actually now I think we're working much more collaboratively. I mean, I've had an email today from the Hereford chairman talking about, are we going to try and petition to keep live streaming going next season? Because I think it's a potential revenue stream for clubs. It's sort of, would we be supportive of that? So I went straight back to him. Yeah, of course we would. So I think it's just going to create a better atmosphere and a better feel for people working together going forward.
And we could talk about that because that was one of the questions from the supporters about whether you think live streaming could happen next season, even if we had full attendances back, or the
we're pushing for it. Well, we've got a lot of people who can't come to games, and I think that it's important that we can still provide them with the ability to watch games. Interestingly, if anybody's overseas, there isn't really an embargo on us doing it, so we will still live stream. It's just whether you can watch it in the UK. I think will be the issue, because I understand the BT rights are just UK. So we'll still be able to stream to Japan Claret, for example, Swedish Claret, Dan in Hong Kong, so lots of people will still be able to watch. But whether we'll be able to watch it live in the UK, I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of people have really criticised what we've done on live streaming, and I'm sure my feedback is going to be, you don't know what you're doing, you're all over the place for saying this, but I genuinely, for me, I haven't been to any games. I've logged on, I've watched the game. Yes, we started getting it, but we had some issues at the start with it tracking the wrong thing. And I think I've said before, when Dorking came out in those lime green shirts, I thought, oh my God, this is, in fact, I even texted you, I think, Ben, or Chris, I said, this is going to be a disaster. The camera's going to follow a Dorking player's shirt. It didn't. Occasionally it lost it a little bit, but you got most of the game. I think it's picking up the perimeters of the pitch now. And yeah, it's not zooming in, zooming out. Because we're doing the social distancing, we haven't got anybody operating the camera. We're just relying on the automation, and the automation's following the ball. In many cases, I actually think the automation is better than the manual, because the automation does predict it, so it just seems to move forward a little bit quicker. Yeah. So ball in goalie's hands, that camera's going to the middle because he's guessing where the ball's going. And I think, I don't know, I'm a little bit disappointed that people think the whole thing was a waste of money. I was chatting to somebody yesterday who was saying they're looking to cover one of the mini leagues that's going to happen before the end of this season, and they were being quoted £600 a game for filming and doing the stuff. So, if they have 20 game season, that's £12,000 for filming. Well, we have spent that, but I don't have to spend it every year. And we've got a core picture. We're wanting to enhance, so I'm looking at buying more cameras so we can get more feeds, and actually build up the whole streaming, but more the Clarets TV and what we do through there. It filmed the ladies' game. Interestingly, when the ladies knew they were being filmed, they played a lot better. I know somebody's now going to come and I didn't see that in the men's, but in the lady, yeah. And it's just something we can do for everything. We did the FA Youth Cup. You wouldn't normally be able, you wouldn't justify spending on a cameraman and doing all the stuff to do that and to stream it out. But we've got that all set up now. Yes, I made a big mistake with Sport Radar to start with. I think Ticket Pass are really good. So I was disappointed people had problems, but as soon as we told Ticket Pass, they'd been on the email and they said, no, we're really sorry. If you've got a problem, do this and we'll fix it. And we're learning all the time. And reality, Ticket Pass are relatively new to this. I think they do Maidenhead as well as us, but they're growing in the UK. And I just think it's a great service to offer, and I think it will get better and better, and you'll gradually see more and more. And it enables us to watch the game, which is the key thing. Okay.
And now we've probably not got another game for the first team, for another men's first team, for another 2.5 months. Before pre-season friendlies, what's the sort of roadmap before we hopefully can play football again?
Well, I think the main thing is to start getting a team for next season. So who actually is going to be joining us at the beginning of July when we go into pre-season training? Who's going to be retained? And I think that the job of Robbie over the next few weeks is chatting to the players and seeing who wants to stay, who we want to stay, and then he'll give them a period of time to think about it. And once that period's gone, we'll start looking elsewhere. I think he was generally looking elsewhere to strengthen the team, potentially in certain key positions. But until he knows what the situation with the people that we've currently got, it's very hard for him to really have those conversations and push it further. I think the challenge is always going to be people always want more money. And I think the reality is, as I'm going to keep saying, is a club is not sustainable paying big bucks. It can't be. And we've been criticised in the past for being unsustainable. And Mr. Power constantly tells me we're mad because we've been pumping money into it, and we don't want to be pumping money into it. So, and it's not good for the future of the club to constantly putting more and more money in, because eventually you run out of money and then you have to hand over to somebody else, and somebody else does it for a while. I think the club needs a bit of stability, and if that means that we don't get move as quickly as people would like us to do, I'm afraid it's the price of sustainability and being a good club. And I don't want people to think, I've also seen things where people have mentioned, well, we seem to be focusing on youth and ladies. We're not. Look, I know that the first team is a critical thing for the club. I know that's what's important. So that is definitely our focus. But we have so much more to offer beyond just the first team. So let's actually not lose sight of those as well. So I think people think we're focusing on them because they've never been heard about them before. It's not, they've always been there. We're just now talking more. We're talking first team, we're talking youth, we're talking ladies, we'll be talking walking football. You know, there's so much to talk about. There's so many great things this club does. Let's leverage it and let everybody know about it.
And we've since the last update as well, there was some news about season tickets and certain deals for next season. Can you just remind the offers that are open to supporters for next season?
I haven't kind of worked out. So we did say we would, anybody who didn't ask for a refund, we would benefit. So people are aware of what that is. We are working on at the moment what we can do for next season to basically really enhance anybody who renews who hasn't asked for a refund. You know, give them the value out of that. It's very hard for us to kind of, people say, well, could you just, I've noticed some clubs have just said, we'll roll it forward. That puts a huge hole in the finances in the summer if we just roll it forward. So in a way, I want to find a way to give people that value, but they still buy their season ticket. And just got to work out how we do that. So I've put a few thoughts together and we're just kind of sharing them around at the moment in terms of how can we do something. But I'd hope in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll have something out there and people will go, that feels fair. We need to test it as well. And, you know, I generally test it with people as, does that feel fair? Hopefully it is. I think we're getting quite focused now. I think we really want to push the game next year, really get more fans in and really start to create an atmosphere at the EMG Inspire Stadium and make it an enjoyable day out. You know, not just come and watch the football, but you go, what we're doing, so nothing. I know, let's go to the football club, watch the football, nice drink, have some nice food, you know, and just have a nice social afternoon. If you look at the Dulwich model, I think that's what they do, and quite inspired about that. So looking to see how much of that we can replicate. Needs to have some conversations with licensing and people like that, but those are going to happen.
And we've got an exciting event happening at Easter with some soccer schools being run by Mickey and Elliot.
Yeah, we have. No, that's good. No, well, look, we already have a fantastic football in the community team, and Chris Finch and Alex Feeney do a great job for us out in the schools and stuff. And they've got their stuff, so they're at Chelmer doing what they do at thing. But we said, I've got these other guys who actually could also do some things. So we said, we talked to Chris and said, look, we're going to put something on. Why not? It's a different school. You know, hopefully you get more of a catchment. So I was really pleased we put it out, and I was getting pings yesterday because we're using the Ticket Pass system so people can book on it. I'm getting pings saying you've had your first booking for this course, you've had your first booking for this course, which is nice. You know, we got some great players, and you know, I think it's good to get them out there in the community. I think the community will, you know, the kids will come and see them. That's what I want to do. I want kids to come along, you know, identify with the players that they're training with and go, you know, Mum, Dad, I want to go and watch them on Saturday. You know, I want to go and watch the football, and we start to build our supporter base. And that's, you know, it worked really well a couple of years ago. I mean, Luke, you know, this all adds on to the stuff that Luke's doing as well, you know, and getting into schools and talking to them. And it worked really well when Chris was here, going out, well, when we could. And I think that's just really important. And that's all about first team. That's all about, you know, the first team out there, getting more people in. The more people we get in, the more, being honest, the more revenue we get, the more we can put into the footballing budget. So that's how it works. So everybody should be really encouraged to get more people involved.
Okay. I was going to ask as well, the loan from Sport England, did that come through in the end? Because that was the day before the season was null and voided.
So the Sport England loan is, we're still waiting for that. We're still filling in forms. hopefully I have an update on that in the next week to 10 days in terms of whether that's come through. But I'm confident that we will get some support from Sport England.
Okay. And one of the most asked questions by the supporters to the board has been whether shares would be able to be available to be bought by the members.
Yes, they will. I have to apologise. I've been trying to sort this out for a while now. The reason I haven't kind of come forward with it again is because I still have a couple of old issues to sort out. Once I've sorted those out, which hopefully I will do in the next few weeks, then we'll be in a position to sort out all the supporters and those shares. So apologies for that. I've just not sorted a couple of legacy issues. Once I can sort those legacy issues, then the clubs we're all sorted and we just go forward from there. In which case we'll be able to offer shares for people to get involved. And then obviously we'll have an AGM and everybody can come along and ask their questions and we'll open up the floor and so yeah, we're not hiding anything. There's not a problem. It's just, as I say, legacy issues.
Okay, Steve, thanks so very much for answering all those questions. We'll have another.
I'm waiting for the main question.
What's that?
What's my favourite cheese?
Okay, well, you can. We'll have that as a finisher, and finally,
I love Epoisse, which is like a French cheese that's soaked in Marc de Bourgogne. So there you go. Caravan Man, I think, asked that question on the message board. So Epoisse. Although I like a bit of blue cheese as well. I like quite a lot of cheese, really.
Okay.
So, but thanks, Ben. No, and listen, you and Chris and the guys are doing an amazing job. So really appreciate it. And I'd also like to just at the end just to say a thank you to Mr. Mixture and the Supporters Club for running the halftime events and golden goal stuff. Gary's transferred more money into the club this week, which is really appreciated, and the efforts of that. And it would be remiss of me not to talk about the guys who are doing the walk Land's End to Winchester, to John Reed and those guys. So really good luck with that, and anything the club can do to support you, let us know, and we will do so.
Okay, Steve. Yeah, we'll have more information about the walk. Hopefully have John on for an interview as well. And yeah, so thanks for answering all those questions, Steve. We'll have another update in probably a month, or if anything else comes up in the meantime.
I think we're doing every 2 weeks, aren't we? 2 weeks you get Robbie, the other 2 weeks you get me. So yeah, you'll be a month for me unless something happens. But we might do some small, if we do a short snippet. Once I know about the Sport England funding, once I know about the shares, maybe we can, we'll sort that. We'll have little chats.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Ben. You did a great job. Thank you.
Soon.